You know, every once in a while, a book comes along that doesn't just tell a story. It completely flips the script on how stories are told. Michael Harriot's Black AF History is definitely one of those books. It's bold, it's provocative, it's getting rave reviews, and man, is it starting a lot of conversations. So let's get into it and see what makes this book such a game changer.
I mean, just one look at the cover and you get it. The title itself is a statement, right? And that subtitle, The Un-Whitewashed Story of America, that's not just a catchy phrase. It's the book's entire mission. So here's what we're going to break down in this explainer. First, we'll get into what this book is all about. Then we'll tackle the whitewashed mythology it's trying to fix. We'll see how Harriot actually rewrites the narrative, check out the fiery debate it's caused online, and wrap up with why this book is so important right now. So what exactly is Black AF history? Well, let me tell you, it's not your high school history textbook. Not even close. At its core, this book is a super creative, often hilarious retelling of American history. Its whole goal is to take the story we think we know and flip it, putting the Black experience right at the center, where Harriot argues it's always been. To really get what this book is doing, we have to first understand the problem it's trying to solve. And that's the traditional, whitewashed version of American history that's been taught for generations. Harriot sets the stage with this incredibly powerful quote from W.E.B. Du Bois. It's about this idea of double consciousness. You know, having to always see yourself through the eyes of a world that might not see you for who you truly are. Harriot argues that traditional history has locked this perspective in place, and it's about time we got a new one. And here's where you can really see the difference. You know, traditional history often talks about enslaved people as just a single, faceless group, passive victims. But Harriot digs into the research and shows them as individuals, as doctors, mothers, community leaders. He shifts the focus from them being victims to being active agents of resistance who literally shaped America. Now, to really drive this point home, Harriot uses this brilliant metaphor from his own life. He tells a story about being a kid and getting his jacket stolen. The thieves took the main part of the coat, but weirdly left him with just the zip-off sleeves. He says that's what's happened with Black history. The main story, the body of the coat, was stolen, leaving Black people with just the disconnected pieces, the sleeves. This whole book is his journey to get the jacket back. So the big question is, how does he do it? How does Michael Harriot put that jacket back together? Let's take a look at his method. He uses this really unique mix of tools. The tone is often satirical, genuinely laugh-out-loud funny, but all that humor is built on some serious, meticulous research with primary sources. He even plays with the textbook format, using things like chapter quizzes and sidebars, and he weaves in his own family's history. And through it all, the focus stays on Black resilience and creativity. And this method uncovers some incredible, often buried history. We're talking about things that most of us never learned in school, like the essential role of West African expertise in creating America's entire rice economy, or the hidden history of Maroons. These were self-emancipated people who escaped slavery and formed their own secret colonies. And the lightning-fast rise of Black political power right after the Civil War. It's fascinating stuff. So, as you can imagine, a book that shakes things up this much, well, it got some pretty strong reactions from all sides. On one hand, you see just incredibly powerful praise like this from a user on Reddit. They're talking about the emotional roller coaster the book takes you on, laughing one minute, furious the next, and then in tears, sometimes in the same chapter. But then, on the flip side, you have some really harsh criticism. This comment, also from Reddit, is a perfect example of a common complaint, attacking the author's writing style and his use of language. And that criticism was immediately met with a clapback. This response, from the same conversation, points out that Harriot's use of African American Vernacular English, or AAVE, isn't a mistake. It's a deliberate choice that's perfectly suited for a book about Black history and culture. This back and forth really gets to the heart of the whole debate. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture here. With all this praise and controversy, why is this book hitting such a nerve right now? Well, Black AF history isn't happening in a vacuum. It's a huge part of this larger, really important cultural conversation about American history. It's standing right alongside other massive works you've probably heard of, like the 1619 Project and Stamped from the Beginning. And this isn't just a popular book, it's getting serious critical acclaim.
Just look at the 2024 NAACP Image Awards. Black AF History was a finalist for Outstanding Literary Work in Nonfiction. I mean, being nominated for that award is a huge deal. It puts it in the company of the most important nonfiction of the year and really cements its place in our culture.
Which brings us all the way back to that stolen jacket. Harriot's book is an argument. It's a history lesson, and it's an act of taking something back. And it leaves all of us with a really big question to think about. What actually happens when you finally add the sleeves back to the story of America? What does that new, complete picture really look like?